hail Liberia, hail, oh hail Liberia, hail, oh hail this glorious land of liberty, shalom be. Be her fame and mighty be her power. Don't you her name, Queen, be her fame and mighty be her power. And mighty be her powers, and mighty be her power. 1, 2, 3, 4, enjoy and gladness with us united we shall. Always united, long live Liberia, happy land, our home of glorious liberty by God's command, our home of glorious liberty by God's command. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, it's another beautiful day out here. It's Sunday, I'm back here. I know most of you have been following now the Liberian Dream since we launched 2 weeks ago. And I promised I was going to be back here 2 weeks today. And I'm back because this is a conversation that is important. This is a conversation that is extremely, extremely important and serious that we must get going. I know most of you may be wondering, why did the show open today with me on the drums? It's because today's episode will be focused on community-driven solutions. If many of you who have been following me have heard me make the arguments that the development agenda of Liberia has to be deeply rooted into something that is so important and so strong that it's not conditioned on any one government, that it has to be beyond, it has to transcend our politics. It has to transcend our political aspirations or transcend which parties we are members of or which political cloth we wear. It has to be deeply rooted in one thing. And that one thing is that Liberia continues to move ahead, regardless of who is president, regardless of which government is in power. So I open with a drum today because if many of you can recall, those of you who are watching now, I mean, I'm not old enough. I often say most of my actual experiences are post-war and post-war Liberia, right? But let's put it this way. How many times have you seen systems and institutions in our country built based on our own local innovation, our own local ideas, our own local cultures, our own local things that we already know? Every time in my entire lifetime, we thought about solutions for Liberia, we've always gone out somewhere else to borrow it and bring it back in. We want to have a peace discussion about what to do for our country, or we want to have a new form of economics as to how our country works. We go to the IMF. We go to the World Bank. We come to the United States. We go to Europe. We go to everybody else except ourselves. We exclude ourselves. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. I see Vivian say hi. Welcome, Vivian. We exclude ourselves. So let me tell you this. There is no way to sustainably build a nation or anything unless it is driven from within the community. So there are three key things we'll be focusing on, in my opinion, that should make up the Liberian dream. We need to stop chasing which political party coming to power now. We need to build what is the Liberian dream. And what is the Liberian dream? I went through it last week or the week before last. The Liberian dream is this ideology that we all can look at Liberia as that one thing that we have the rights to be citizen, but we also have the responsibility to continue to work hard to make it better within our own means. That is the Liberian dream. We all should believe that whatever we got to offer is so important that we must make sure whatever we have to offer is realized, because if we do not, our country will be badly affected. So this is the important thing. Whether you are a farmer, whether you are a wheelbarrow boy, whether you are a fisherman or a fisherwoman, or anything that you are, you have to look at what you do as being so important to the survival of our country that you must do it well, regardless of which political party is in power, regardless of which government is in power. Because if you have an ideology that is so strong, that is ingrained in us, no government is too strong enough to stop us. No politician will be able to stop us. In fact, when it comes to making decisions about politics and politicians, it becomes much more clearer. Because anybody who does not ascribe to making sure that the young boy who wakes up in Equator and West Point every day and go on the ocean to try and catch fish and bring it back to survive, that the young girl who wakes up every morning with her top of potato greens on her head and try to take it to Rayland Market so that they can sell and make enough to feed a family. If any politician does not realize that that person is so important to Liberia that they have to do something about it, then it's clear. Then you make your decision of what it is. Now, many of you may be wondering, what is community-driven solutions? I'm going to give you a few things here, right? I was just playing these drums. I've been receiving messages now, a lot of people telling me how they enjoy it. And guess what? I sang the national anthem of Liberia playing the drums. And sometimes I just wonder, maybe I'm too uneducated as a young person. Why does our national anthem sound like a European song that was written in London or in New York? Why doesn't it sound like it was written in Liberia? Why doesn't it sound like that? Because we know what Liberian music sound like. Now, you may debate as to whether you like it or not. No, you can't hate yourself. What you are is who you are. You may not like certain things that you do in a certain way, but we cannot be borrowing other people's things to build ourselves on it. No, we cannot do that. We cannot keep living trying to be like everyone. Since 1847, we've been trying, right? Before 1847, it was very traditional when we had the colonies. People were living in these places based on what they knew and who they were, right? Since 1847, when we got into this modern era of so-called democracy, right? What happened? We've been trying to be like America for 173 years. It hasn't worked. We've been trying so hard to be like America to the point where we believe now that the only people who have a chance of success are those who will get the chance to travel outside of Liberia to the West. Before, it used to be only the United States. Now it's changed. Now I know there are many other countries involved, in Canada, Norway, Australia, to the point where we sold ourselves this myth that if you don't get the chance to leave Liberia, you got no option of being successful. This is what is killing us. 173 years we've been trying to be like somebody else except ourselves. So what we've done, we've relegated who we are to the gutters and gone all over the world chasing everybody. We got economic hardship in Liberia. Where do we go? We go to the IMF or we go to the World Bank. We don't ask ourselves, how have we managed to survive in this country in spite of all the difficulties, in spite of the wars, in spite of the economic mess? Look, let me tell you something. My entire life, Liberia has been living a recession. There's never been a time that we had an absolute economic boom. It's never worked. Some of us, our entire lifetime. Maybe those of you who are old enough that were born before the war may have had that experience, but some of us, no. Our entire lifetime has been abnormal days. Our entire lifetime has been the hustle. Our entire lifetime has been maybe your mom would never be able to pay your school fee, so you got to do something. Our entire life has been you wake up and go to the market, you sell. Our entire life has been you try your best and go to college or university, and then guess what? You go right back to the market in a seaweed barrel that you were selling. Our entire lives have been being in America, Australia, or whatever, and making sure we send food money back for our families because they cannot even afford to feed themselves. Our entire life has been, if you hear, God forbid, something happened to any one of your family in Liberia, sickness or whatever, and you don't have money immediately, they might be dead. My friends, that is not normal times. That is not the type of dream we should be aspiring to. That is the reason why I'm saying the Liberian dream has to be that dream that is so important that every Liberian see themselves as a crucial part to the survival of our country, regardless of whether you are a farmer or you are a university professor or you are somebody who does fishing or you are somebody who sells in a local market or you are a government minister. Everybody has to feel important. And you know, the only way everybody can feel important is if we start to rely on what we call community-driven solutions. Now, what are community-driven solutions? Right? Community-driven solutions are solutions that are derived. The origin of it is from within our community and not from outside. Now, I didn't tell you community-driven solution is the answer to it all, but the foundation has to be community-driven solutions. If we want to understand how to build an economy in Liberia that is so strong, we need to understand how the Oma and the Papene are functioning in the marketplaces. We need to understand how the Yana boys and the Wheelbarrow boys and the money changers are functioning. We need to pay keen attention. We don't need to judge it. We don't need to condemn it. We need to first seek to understand it, how it operates. And then we need to try and understand how we can elevate that to a point that it becomes the modus operandi. What that means is it becomes the system by which we all operate, but just bring it to a place where it's organized and it's done well, and things that can be added to improve it and make it better is put into it. Your chances of success are much greater because it will not be strange to anybody. Everybody in Liberia will be an expert. When it comes to selling on the streets to hustle, you don't need to go find Europeans to come and do workshop for us. No. You might need some of our friends to help us, maybe to understand financial literacy. You might need some of our friends to help us, maybe to build websites. We might need some of our friends to help us, maybe to build e-commerce site and to maybe use electronic currencies. But we wouldn't need them to teach us how to wake up in the morning, pick up your kerosene gallon, go around and sell kerosene. We may just need to understand how we turn that kerosene gallon. Now, one kerosene gallon we're selling every day over 5 years. How do we turn it into now a small kerosene factory? Instead of going around with 1 gallon, we might need to just evolve it. Liberia will go nowhere if our solutions are not community driven, right? We want clothing. We want uniforms for our schools. We come to the West and copy uniforms. What happened to our traditional clothing becoming school uniforms? What's wrong with that? How are we not promoting our traditional culture to our own clothing? How are we not promoting traditional clothing as school uniforms in the country? Why are we ordering cloth that we cannot make? Why are we ordering cloth from Guinea, from Togo, from Nigeria, just to make school uniforms? How we know that we will need school uniforms every year for the rest of the time, as long as Liberia exists, we need school uniforms. So why are we not saying, okay, we need school uniforms? Let's go to Vonjama. The people that are weaving these cloths, the traditional cloths that we make here, let's make it the new industry. Because every year, every school, every student in Liberia will need to buy school uniforms. What is wrong with that? It may not be perfect from the beginning, but guess what? If we continue to do that for 5-10 years, guess what will happen? We will get better at it. But because we've ran away from it, we want our school uniforms to look like how the Europeans can look on TV. Let me give you some simple example of what community-driven solutions are. I'm going to put a picture up for you to see of a village hut, right? The current village hut that are in our villages in Liberia. I'm going to put a picture up for you to see it. You see that hut you're looking at, right? This is, in fact, I took this picture as a picture of a pellet village in Liberia. Every village you go to in Liberia, this is how the people built their houses. And they've been doing this for hundreds of years, by the way. And they've lived inside securely. In fact, some of these huts have outlasted most of your modern buildings in Liberia. Some of these huts are older than you and your father combined. Some of these huts, your great-grandma live in it, your grandma live in it, and your mom may be living inside today as well. Now, here's what we ask ourselves. I know this does not look pleasant to the eyes. It looks old, and it looks rugged. The thatch all looking like it's twisted or whatever that is, right? But have anyone ever thought to themselves, if our people could innovate this way back using no machines, using nothing at all of that is done with their bare hands, might we just have an insight as to what we could do because you know what? Our people know how to build like that now. It's almost like it's in them. Nobody needs to teach them how to build like that. Let me tell you what I think our village is supposed to look like at some point later on with the second set, with a little bit of development and a little bit of thinking in that. We'll put the next image on. Now look at this. It's the same idea. There is absolutely nothing that changed here. The old rugged huts you see, the exact technology and innovation that went into designing and building it, it's the exact same thing that went into designing and building this. So in my opinion, when we talk about community-driven solutions, those old rugged huts you saw, supposed to turn into these eventually. It's supposed to leave from this to go to the other one to this. That is what community-driven solutions are. It's not leaving the village. When the people say we'll pay 200,000 or 200 houses for poor people in the village, then we come to Morovia, we look for somebody who can draw American-style houses. You know what they can build here. The people build here for a particular reason, the way they build. No, we draw American-style houses, take it way to Bogonima somewhere, and build it in a village, and don't understand why the people can take care of it. And don't understand why it looks bad off. Because the people don't know what you are giving them. It's not rooted in community-based solutions. We should have been drawing the blueprints and understanding the blueprints for for building new houses in those villages by looking at what is already there and how we can evolve it, develop it, and make it better. Now, let me give you the third stage. In my opinion, what Monrovia is supposed to look like, if you ask me. Look at this. It's the exact same technology. It just evolved. It is the exact same technology. The technology just evolved. The same round huts. Now, tell me if you wouldn't love living in a place like this. In fact, I was talking to my friend Anthony, one of our producers here. He was telling me this could just be my dream house. And guess what? When an American person visits Liberia and looks at this, they will be intrigued because this is not how they build. They will be wondering, this is interesting technology. Now, you know what will happen? Other countries will now start thinking about how they can borrow some of this as well because of its uniqueness. But beyond that, the most important thing will be when my great-grandfather come from Ganglota or come from Bonge or come from Golu to visit me in Monrovia and they see that hall looking like that, guess what? It's not strange to them. They will feel like, yeah, that was so, yeah, they both know what he's doing. Yeah, there may be features of it that are new to them, but they will appreciate it because what we're doing, we are preserving, we are evolving, we are developing based on community-driven solutions. We wouldn't need to be sending people to go to China to learn architecture to come out to Liberia to draw houses for us. We wouldn't need to be sending people to the United States to do that. And if we send them there, the only reason we'll be sending them there would be to go and learn some smart technologies that maybe we can use to make ours better. So that's one. I just want to make it practical when I talk about community-driven solutions, what it is today. And somebody may say maybe we should get rid of public school uniforms. No, we shouldn't. If we want to use it, that's fine. Let's use it as a way of opening up a new clothing industry in Liberia. Why are the public school uniforms not our traditional clothes? You know what's funny? Let me advise Liberians today. Stop turning your culture into mere content. Stop it. It's an absolute disrespect and insult to yourself when you take your culture and just use it as content. Let me tell you what I mean by that. When Liberian having showcase or fashion show, everybody won't wear Liberian, Liberian style clothing or Liberian like clothing, and they won't showcase it. All they want to do, but we don't take it to be part of our daily lives. You wouldn't get your Liberian clothes or go to special programs or special showcase or special times. It's not part. You wear everybody else's clothes as part of your daily lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying wear Liberian clothes your whole life. It's not possible. It's okay to treat and rock other styles sometimes. But don't use your Liberian culture only as a content for occasions. It's a disrespect to who you are because you know what? Your identity is rooted in your culture. And if you are so ashamed of your identity, you are only willing to pull it on certain times, and then the rest of the other time you want to look different, you don't want to look like yourself, then maybe you need to ask yourself, there is a deeper problem with that. So we are talking about community-driven solutions, my people. Let's stop trying to be like everybody else except ourselves. And we are good enough. The only difference is we have refused to promote, to evolve, to develop what we already have. So because of that, it looks so bad off. We keep trying to go get other people. You know how hard other people work to develop their own to where it is? It didn't just fall from the sky. This North America that we all live in now, especially those of you that are in North America, this place used to look bad off. People used to pee and poo osa in the streets. People used to urinate in the streets and poop in the streets. People used to osa bathroom, like what they used to have here once upon a time. But today, you don't see people urinating and pooping in the street. You know why? Because they were able to evolve themselves and their culture to understand how to build public bathrooms, to know where it should be situated. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't go to Liberia or they didn't go somewhere else. Now, they may have borrowed ideas from other places, but the foundation of what they were developing was rooted in community-driven solutions. That's why you got people here who call themselves inventors all the time, because they look at what they have, they think through it critically, and they turn it into something magnificent. You know why we don't have inventors in Africa and stuff? Because we borrow everything, especially in Liberia. You will be lucky to find original things. In fact, out of the things that are original, we subjected them to hide them away, getting rid of them, leave them in a village. They're too primitive to come in town. Why are we? Look at our Capitol building. We're trying to be like America. We were trying to mimic the Capitol building of the United States of America. What is that? That is not a community-driven solution. That is a backward mentality of you trying to be somebody else except yourself. You think about it. People building houses in Liberia, government buildings, modern buildings are calling to them. Capital building that they just rebuilt. You go in the building, 12 o'clock in the day, it's dark. All the lights got to be on. Look, the sun rises at 7 a.m. in the morning in Liberia and it sets at 7 p.m. No light should be on in any building in Liberia between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. No building should need light. We got sunshine 12 months a year. 12 months a year, even during the rainy season, we got sunshine. Why are we not designing, our buildings in a way where natural light? You know why the people survive up interior? They don't have electricity. So when they're building, they built a common debt for all these things, even heat. They don't have air condition. You go up interior when the sun is hot, you go into those huts, it's cool, amazing, comfortable. Because they've designed it in a way that they know they don't have electricity, they don't have air condition. So what they do, they design it in a way where they can accommodate light, they can accommodate cooling based on what time it is, and they can shield themselves from rainfall. Why are we not doing that? Everybody like to use this big jargon who've gone to university now. Sustainable solution, sustainable solution. What does that mean? That doesn't mean borrowing other people's things to come and placate it and photocopy it and paste it and make it look like your own. That's not sustainable solutions. Sustainable solution is coming up with ideas and solutions that are native and innate to who you are, because you will know how to manipulate it for a long period of time, even when it has problems. Let me break it down to you this way. Sustainable solution is when you build a house in Liberia and a major deficiency happened to it, and anybody down the street, any qualified carpenter or construction engineer down the street knows how to fix it. That is sustainable solution. Sustainable solution. Now, when one thing break on the roof, there is nowhere in the country you can find it. So we got to wait and send for it overseas for it to come back. Sometimes another the right fit, then we send for it again and come back. Sustainable solution is when you can print your own ballot papers in your country, not to send it to China and bring it back. No, that is not. Since 1847, we've been trying to be like the United States of America, and we're still trying up to today's date. We come and photocopy the people's economic policies and stuff here, or their systems, and we go to Liberia and try and paste it there. And we keep chasing this foolishness. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to show you another example. I will put a picture up here of what our old man used to look like in the villages those days with their faction clothing. You see this? This is an old picture. I'm from a Vi village, actually. Those cloths are high quality material. Don't get me wrong. They are beautiful, high quality material. But let's admit, the world has evolved. So our people, nobody wants to dress, like in this particular format anymore, right? But let me show you what can happen. Let's show you what can happen. Let's move to the other image so you can see. What's wrong with evolving our own clothes to look like this? What's wrong, right? People would rather pay $200 to wear a fake Chinese shampoo or Shanzhong coat suit. $200 for a fake Chinese Shanzhong suit. When the sun is hot, you see it popping all on your skin. Then paying $35 to have something like this made. What's wrong with this? Guess what? These are the same materials you can use. You don't even need to use any other material. The same local clothing. We will buy print. These clothes now, the Chinese people are doing prints of it now. We will go to China and buy the prints of our own traditional clothing that can be made in the village with high quality cotton and weaving. We leave it. We go and buy the fake one, the print one, where they get printed over the cloth. A fake, just to make it look like this. But we think it's too much to make a trip down to Voyama to buy the original woven type, to promote that papa who maybe has never made $100 in his entire life before, to go there and buy $100 worth for that clothing, bring it to Monrovia. No, our tailors and seamstresses and people will rather go to Togo, to Nigeria, to Ghana, and nobody ever thought about the fact that if we got people in the country that can make the things, why are we not promoting it? Why are we not evolving it? Because you know what? When I was growing up, thanks to my parents for taking us to the village during the war, I learned how to plait those bags, the raffia bags. I had one of those bags from grade 3 straight to grade 7, never destroy. Bulletproof, rain or shine, that bag will rock. Because the raffia is this material that comes from the cassava tree that is so good that even when rain hits it, it just slips on it. It doesn't go through it. And the way they plait it, like almost like how you braid the hair, but very tiny. So there are no spaces in between for water to seep through. I used it for 5 unbroken years. I didn't need another bag. That is what we call community-driven solutions. This, my people, has to be the new ideology, and we do not need any government for that. We do not need a government for that. It would be great if we get a government that can sustain it, but we do not need any government for that. I don't need any government to tell me, say, if I got money, and I want buy clothing, to go to Liberia and tell us, say, I need you to make me 20 shirts. Like, you see these shirts I'm wearing? Every time I go down. Because so now I get $100, I can make almost 4. To tell us, I need you to make me these shirts, and here's how I need to make it. The teller makes it to my liking. I don't need any government to do that. We don't need any government. If you come from Nizo in your lake community, where the people say people in plastic and throwing grenade over the roof. You know what they call grenade? People in the plastic throw the plastic bag over the roof. By you going there, one day you go to visit, guess what? $1,500 to $2,500 to sit down with the people and say, okay, let's discuss this matter. The people being in the public is a problem. What is the solution? What do we do? And discuss it with them. Trust me, you will be shocked that the people living in those situations, most of them have their ideas to what the solution is. Sometimes they're too lazy to do something about it. Other times it's because they don't have the resources. But you know what? It can take something to drive them. Once you show up now, maybe you have $2,000, you now say, okay, you know what? We will solve the solution to the people in Benin. I'm putting $2,000 on the table. Let's come up with the best solution. You people tell me that you live here. Because you know what? When they do it like that, when it comes about, they take ownership for it. Tell them, say, we ain't got money to pay workers. So all I will have to volunteer to tow water to the construction site. We'll have to volunteer to tow the sand to the construction site. When they sweat, when people put their sweat in something, trust me, anybody fool around to even take out the nail, that problem, it will be, look, during the war, let me remind you people, when we have no security during the war, most of the communities, the armed robbery was through the roof. What did we do? We formed community watch teams. We did not have guns. But we form community watch teams because if we see the armed robber coming first, we are in a better position to protect our community. And we used to take shifts. Tonight, if it are 10 men or 15 or 20 men, depending on how big the community is, that they are shift tonight. So they sleep in the day, they do the shift at night, and then they alternate with everybody in the community. And guess what? Our communities became safer even when there was no police. These are the discussions we should be having, my people. You forget this government changing business because you know why? I keep saying it. The time to prepare the soup, the time to influence whether the soup will be sweet or not, that when you're cooking it, then when the soup already done, you want to add some more raw salt, some more raw pepper, some more raw chicken soup, it will taste funky. So when the government has already decided, the soup done already. If that soup was badly cooked, you're wasting your time. We need to start focusing on the new soup. And you know what the new soup is? It's not the next government. The new soup is your children in your house. Look at them tomorrow. If your son had the opportunity to become a president, will you stand up and beat your chest and say, these are the type of astute leaders we're looking for? Look at your daughter. Are you doing the job that you're supposed to do so that tomorrow, if they end up as a minister, or end up as a director somewhere, or as a pastor, or as an imam, whatever they become, will you be able to beat your chest and say, yes, I did a magnificent job raising this child? Will you? Because that is the soup now that we need to cook. Because government is not aliens. Governments don't come from Mars. Governments don't come from Jupiter. They're your children in your house today. All of our children we have, whether in the diaspora, whether back home, guess what? They are some of us who are talking right now. 10 years from now, we may find ourselves in different places. Some of you may become ministers. Some of you may become top government officials. Some of you may even become presidents and vice presidents. No, but you want to corrupt now. In your own house with your own children, you are corrupting them. You take money, you take the small children, you send them to buy alcohol for you to can't get drunk. You send them to buy your cigarettes. You send them to participate in all the corrupt attitudes. Then we say it will change when we get up there. You know what Liberia is, what it is? Because the type of community solutions we are providing, that's what we are getting the results for. We are raising bad children, bad people. It will not change when they get to the executive mansion. It will not change when they get to the Capitol building. You continue to reproduce bad people, and you're wondering how come you're just getting bad government? It doesn't work that way. So let's start to look at community-driven solutions. You know why there's more sanitation, there's better sanitation in the interior than the sanitation in Monrovia? Just get outside of Monrovia a little bit. Don't go too far. Go, I'm not talking about urban areas like Kakata and Bangade. No, go to smaller villages. I was in Bogesa. We're in Lofa County. I went to Vonjama. Vonjama is 20 times cleaner than Monrovia. The place where I say the country people, the bush people living. The place is 100% cleaner than Monrovia. And guess what? They didn't get no garbage collection system. In Monrovia, you say you got garbage collection. Whole day the World Bank giving you a grant to take care of garbage. It's cleaner. The air you breathe is healthier. It's much better then the corruption, the how you call it, the polluted air that people are killing themselves for hemorrhage and not realizing that we're cutting people's life short in all kinds of diseases. So ask yourself, you know why? Because up interior, there's nothing else. They're not depending on anybody else. So what they're doing is they are relying on community-driven solutions to come up with smart ideas. These people have been living in some of these villages for over 100 years. They've managed to control pollution. You don't smell poo-poo all over the village. It's clean. Go to Monrovia. There's no community wherever you can pass without holding your nose to pass. It stinks. It stinks. It smells. It's polluted. Only God knows what is mixed with it, to the point where we're comfortable down living in the garbage. Go to villages. They've been existing for over 100 years. They are still there. It's still clean. Go to villages. They've been living there for over 100 years. Their houses still make sense. They're not just building houses, clustering it into each other like crazy people. They are well spaced. Don't go far for the solution. The solution is right in a village in Vonjama. Go there, figure out, how do old people manage? Didn't get public toilets. Didn't get inside bathroom in their houses. How have this managed that these villages are just this clean? And some of you may be so easy to dismiss it and be like, oh yeah, but they got bush, you can go poo in the bush. Yeah, thank God. They know that in the bush they need to go far enough so that the smell does not come back in the village. So they're thinking twice. They're not like you and myself in Monrovia that will poo in the plastic bag, throw it over the roof to the next house near your house. As if to say, when the stink or the stench of it ready to go, the stench of it ready to go around, it will not affect you in your own house. Let's be practical. Let's be very, very practical. We're going to leave some time to open it up for those who want to call in. The number is all here. You can see the number. I will give in the next 5 minutes. I will give Anthony, my producer Anthony, the chance to go through some of so we can go through some of the comments that have been coming in from people. But yes, my people, let's build the Liberian dream. I thought about this for a long time, and I want to thank Focus on Africa for giving us this opportunity to start having this conversation. The solution to Liberia is not through government. If you are a citizen of Liberia, you have rights. But guess what? You also have responsibilities. And right now, because we don't have anything that we are building around, everything we're doing in Liberia, we are borrowing other people's ideas. We're not even learning it well. We're just going to photocopy it. We don't even learn how it works. We photocopy it, we come and paste it there. We want to talk about how we should set and organize the Liberian economy. We say we should go to the IMF for a solution. We want to talk about how we should build a local public toilet in our community. We say we must go talk to a foreign NGO. Let me touch a very difficult topic that all of our so-called educated people are afraid to touch. Yes, I think it was yesterday was the day the day of action against female genital mutilation. Something that is deeply rooted in our cultures and something that is absolutely bad. It's unacceptable. It harms women. But let me give you another angle. 200 years ago, we didn't know that. Our people did not even understand, or nobody understood how damaging female genital mutilation is to women. They didn't know that. Here's what we've done. Instead of seeking community-driven solutions, let me tell you what those are. In my lifetime, maybe not when I was alive, I don't know about when I was not alive, but in my lifetime, I've never seen any president of the Republic of Liberia seriously, or any leader, or even local community leaders, seriously sit down, call our traditional leaders and say, we have some issues. Science have not taught us. We got proof to show that this particular practice, don't do it in the public. Don't call people to shame them down. Let's call them and sit with them first of all. Let's understand where they are on the issue. And then commission them. If I were president for Liberia or whatever, we'll seek community-driven solutions. Commission them to say, okay, we will set up this committee of you elders to report back to us in 6 months with recommendations and solutions as to how we can eradicate and phase out female genital mutilation. But what have we done in our own culture we know nothing about? In our own culture that we know nothing about, we set up this battleground where it is those who are for female genital mutilation versus those who are against. That is not one of the things that we should politicize for who's for and who's against. No, this is a thing we should all sit down, look at the facts, and say it's destructive. It's damaging our women and our young girls. Some of them even die in the process. This is the time for us to start engaging a conversation in the way of providing solutions and not coming up and making statements like, we should get rid of the Sunday, or we should get rid of this society because of this. You cannot condemn a whole culture because of a bad practice. We should be able to, because you know what? You and myself that are talking today, we will be the elders. 20, 30, 40 years down the road, most of us will be the people, will be the ones that will be pointing at as the elders. Guess how ignorant and naive we will be when we know zilch about our own culture, when we now will have the power to change it. Show me one culture in the world. Most of us are here. When you go to Liberia, you secretly voice your hate for homosexuals. You do. But when you come to America here, you zilch it. You pretend like you accept it. Why can you not do the same advocacy here? Because you know that's not how solutions are found. You must find a way, especially when it comes to your own. So what's this hypocrisy? That you go to Liberia, we see things in our cultures and our practices that are bad. Instead of us sitting down for a constructive dialogue and we think by just coming up and waving some kind of banner. Now, I stand in solidarity with all the women and men around the world who are genuinely trying to find a solution to end this practice of female genital mutilation. But I promise you, you will not find a true confrontation. It's not going to work. Because what you are telling people, you are using the bad practice to tell them, say, you are a bad person because you practice this. Instead of telling them, say, no, you are uneducated to this. This is not about us arguing about your culture. This is not about your culture. This is about something that we've realized is bad collectively. So as a society, we need to end it. We need to find a solution. Look, the elders themselves, if I were an elder, I would feel proud that somebody came to me and say, this thing may happen and I'm good, but you are an elder. We want to hear your thoughts. How can we end it? 90% of the time, no one is engaging the people who practice female genital mutilation. They are not sitting at the conference tables. They are not inviting them to Brussels, to London, to Washington, D.C. when they're having the big conferences around how you will end genital mutilation. Good luck. Show me how you will end a problem. The same way you give respect to rebel leaders. When war was fighting, somebody gather in the bush and put 20 people behind them with AK-47. All of a sudden, you fly them to Washington, D.C. for peace talk. You put them in 5-star hotels. What's wrong with engaging our traditional people on this matter? And not just on this issue. There are so many things in our society, in our culture, we need to discuss. We need to find a solution. But you are naive when you know nothing about the culture and you think you are the one that have the mantra to. No, you can be part of the enabler. We can engage the people and let them know this is bad. And we must be forceful on it. But let us not do it like we are coming to attack them. When we have our big conferences and spend millions of dollars, we bring all the academics, all the medical doctors. That is great. But we exclude them after 2-3 days of enjoying ourselves in 5-star hotels and talking about female genital mutilation. Then we go back to the local villages and attack them. Exactly. Dave Judge just made a brilliant point. We've seen churches where priests and pastors have raped children for generations. Nobody's calling for those churches to be shut down. Where is the movement against shutting down the churches that we've seen with evidence and it's still happening? Where is the movement for shutting it down? No, but we go to Liberia and now, thanks to science, we've realized that there are some practices in our culture that is not okay, that is unacceptable, that is harmful. Especially to women, this particular one of female genital mutilation. Man, people, let's go back to community-driven solutions. We call for an economic dialogue in Liberia. Country are going by, we want economic dialogue. What do? We call all the academics and professors who've gone to their European, centric schools. Why are we even organizing schools in this Eurocentric model where you go to school, you score a letter grade by writing math, English, science, and all that stuff? When I talk about language, how we're not even learning our own languages, somebody said, which one we'll learn because we got plenty. Learn all. And let me tell you how you learn all. What's wrong with our Ministry of Education, or those of you opening private school? If you open in Grand Bassa country, what's wrong with making Bassa one of the subjects, one of the language subjects, just how you made English? You know what's funny? In our curriculum, we've made English a subject. What's wrong? All the schools in Grand Bassa County, send the people that speak Bassa, making Bassa a subject. What's wrong with Bon County, saying all the people that speak Pele, making Pele a subject? What's wrong in Lofa, since there are 4 of those tribes in Lofa, I think 4 or 5, Mandingo, Bandi, Kisi, Loma? What's wrong with finding a way to embed those? And people will be like, oh, that would be too much. No, but it's not too much to learn English, which you spend your whole life learning English, and most of us still don't speak it well after 12 years. You are willing to make the effort to learn English. You are willing to make the effort to learn French. We teach French in our schools. We put French in our curriculum. But not one of our languages is there. So the Liberian dream solution, this is why I'm here. Because we waste all this precious time talking nonsense about things that we don't know how to solve. We want to talk about government. We want to talk about all the things, about the economy, about development. What do you call development? Coming to the West, looking at the people glass buildings, trying to photocopy it, going and getting it horrifically wrong. It doesn't look like you. That whole Capitol building, that executive mansion, they're trying to shut it down and turn it into a museum to show people how not to do it. Let's shut it down. Turn the Capitol building into a museum where we tell our children and there to go tell and say, this is how you should not do it. Never try this experiment. It was a horror show. It did not work. And go back to our community-driven solutions. Wherever we stop it at, let's start to develop it from there. You can skip it. You can take shortcuts. It will not work. It will not work. We cannot take shortcuts. I'm calling for that thing. The Capitol building, the University of Liberia, the executive mansion, those places are museums. They're only worth to be museums now because they were horrible experiments. Excluding the University of Liberia, but even the University of Liberia predominantly was a Eurocentric style institution. We're trying to turn everywhere into this European culture. That's the goal. We want to erase ourselves and turn ourselves into something that we're not. Let's shut down the executive mansion, shut down our place, build something new that looks like Liberian. And let's turn those places into museums where we will warn our children to say, don't try this. If you ever get the opportunity to be in power, politician, not politician, business person, wealthy person, this experiment was a horror show. Do not try it again. That's why we're keeping it here as an example to show you how we got it horribly wrong so that you people don't get it wrong. But we're still showing the executive mansion and Capitol building to our children as the model they should aspire to. You kidding me? I will stop here. I will allow us to go through some of the comments so we can read some of your comments as we're getting closer to the hour here. So we will go through some of your comments. Mama Isaiah says, so true, my brother. Clement Tele say, in my village, deep hole to poo-poo and cover. Leo Sese say, my brother, you are making sense. Thank you, Leo. My Fly Reese say, my Fly Reese, unique. Good to see you. She says, very true, Leo. David Padmo said, this lecture actually goes to our leaders. They don't know how to talk to common people. They believe the common people are not their type. Dave Jassy, you do not close down churches because some priests abuse children. Absolutely, Dave. My Fly Reese, unique say, our traditional leaders are not even doing their job. Yeah, that means I will speak to that comment, My Fly Reese. I think they are not doing their job because we've disempowered them. What time we can bring in? Anyone having big celebrations, then we can bring Zanzan Kawade. What kind of job description Zanzan Kawade got? We take the people out, we just appoint them. Ministry of Internal Affairs. We just appoint them. Besides even the ministry, even our traditional leaders who don't have official titles, that are just opinion leaders in our community, we've disempowered all of them with this Europeanized attitude that we got, that we want to turn our country into something that we're not. So our traditional leaders feel that they have to be defending themselves against us rather than seeing themselves as part of the solution. Musu Senovia said we need think tank to discuss issues in our country. Musu, we are starting a think tank now. They show the Liberian Dream. Tune in here every other week. So not every week, but every other week, every Sunday we'll be here. Tune in. Leo says, whoa, Leo, you have made my Sunday, my brother. David Padmo said, and actually it's common sense in leadership, and that's you. Franklin Howard says, Liberian needs to remember their culture. We are very quick to adopt other people's way of life or doing things. I agree. That's true. Not just remember our culture. We just need to be ourselves. And if you don't know who you are as a Liberian, you don't know your own self, then go back, do some research. Amos Colette say, you make a lot of senses, Leo. Thank you, Amos. If you don't know who you are, then you got homework to do. Some people spend their, let me show you the white people here. These white people, when they're born, some of them who don't even believe they're from here, the people will spend their whole life digging deep, doing DNA, trying to figure out where they came from. Did their generation come from Europe before? Listen to American politicians. They can tell you 10 to 15 generations back when their great-great-great-great-great-grandfather came from Ireland or came from Israel or came from, they dig it back to connect it because it's your identity. It is your responsibility to determine who you are. And if you think, let me say it to you today, because people, when I talk about language, people like to say, oh, how everybody will go speak everything. Let me put it this way. I'm not asking you to go speak any traditional Liberian dialect if you think you cannot learn it. I'm asking you to choose. Are you a Liberian or not? If you are a Liberian, whether you speak a Liberian traditional dialect or not, you must embrace it, because then it behooves you to understand it and dig deeper. If you can learn any, not everybody is smart at learning languages, then learn our Liberian English and be proud to speak it. Stop coming on the radio in Liberia, y'all the educated people, and speaking the big bulk that you wouldn't speak to 10% of the population. How is it now legislated in Liberia that every time the president mounts the pulpit, especially the State of the Nation address, if I have my own way, the first 20 minutes of that State of the Nation is supposed to be all in the president dialect. When he can speak Kru, he speak Kru. We got an interpreter right there. The interpreter can interpret in English for the other people who can speak Kru. When you come to the UN General Assembly, you can speak English. Like a Pierre in there, or you can speak French, whichever one he speaks better. But in Liberia, then you're forcing us to be listening to speeches only 10% of the population can understand. What is that? It does not work. It does not make sense. You can call in if you want to make up there's a number on the screen. The last 15 minutes, we'll open it up for some calls. So please feel free, pick up the phone and call. My producer will let me know whenever we have a caller here to actually take some calls. But I'm serious, man. I'm tired with the government argument. Everybody won't blame the government. Generally, the government are aliens. Like I said, and I will repeat, the soup can only be made better when you're cooking it than when it's done. You got an opportunity now to influence that soup. That government you see over there, so Joey, I was born in Liberia. You're not born Pluto. All the ministers and people are Liberians. Their parents raised them. They're not born in Pluto. So if all of them get bad, if you agree that all of them bad, then they are not the problem. Then our society is the problem. Because it is our society that influenced them. If all of them are rogue, according to what you say, then you're making a mistake by focusing on them. Because trust me, you cannot grow up in a house where everybody says the truth and are very truthful, and you end up being the biggest liar on the planet. That is not easily possible. Trust me, you cannot grow up in a house where everybody speaks English. Then you grew up not understanding English at all. It doesn't make sense. So we should start blaming ourselves. If we agree, if we're making an argument that all of our leaders today, y'all like to blame the government all the time. When I'm talking about leaders, I'm talking about political, religious, all of them. If we all agree that they are so bad, then start looking at yourselves. Because then the problem is not the government. We are the one producing the type of people that are getting in the government. That means we're not producing enough good people to end up in positions of power. That means we are failing as society. For those of you who have the chance, I know a lot of you like to make your points. I can take few calls. So the numbers are right underneath there. Please hit the call button and we will be able to questions or comments, or you want to chime in, we will be happy to provide a few minutes to give that. The numbers are on there. 605-313-6004 and the code will be 791403 hash. So let's have this conversation. People are afraid to talk these things. Imagine a conversation around genital mutilation. Everybody's skirting around it. We've made it a battleground. The people who are against versus the people who are for. This is nothing about being against or for. This is a bad practice. The conversation should not be who's against and who's for. The conversation should be directed at how do we get rid of it? How do we stop it? And in the process of trying to get rid of it, don't try to get rid of the people who practice it too, plus the thing itself. Because of what happens when you set up a fight. Because genital mutilation by itself is not a thing. You cannot fight genital mutilation by itself. So if you set it up as a fight, then you set up yourself to fight the people who practice it rather than bringing them to a place of understanding. Rather than getting them to a place of saying, yeah, and understanding means it may not happen tomorrow. That is the fear that we got. But guess what? How long have we been fighting genital mutilation now? How many years? Don't you think we would have been further along the line if we were discussing solutions and engaging? Don't you think it would have been further along the line if everybody was at the table? No, you're saying for your BB people then to come sit down in DC, drink milk, sleep in 5-star hotels, eat good food, and say we are fighting genital mutilation. And then you go back and you come here, you build your army to go back to our villages to fight our people. I don't think that's a strategy that will win. Continue with that strategy and see. And nobody wants to talk about it because they are afraid. Nobody wants to talk about it. When you talk about exactly, somebody just made a comment that when you talk about speaking dialect in Liberia, people say we are divisive. But nobody will say we are divisive. When you go Grand Bassa, the people speak Bassa there, right? You go Grand Crew, the people speak Crew. You go Grand Judah, people speak Kran. You go Nima, they speak Gio and Mano. Nobody, or sometimes there are Mandingos there as well. Nobody say we are divided. But the moment you talk about the importance of us learning our dialects, then we are divisive. What kind of upside down mentality is that? Then we are divisive because we are amplifying our voices. We are divisive. I will tell you today, the future of Liberia is doomed. Do you have a call?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, me, Queenie calling from New Jersey. Hello?
Go ahead, Queenie. Make your point. You're alive.
Okay, so my question is especially amongst the youth, people like myself, entrepreneurs, how do we keep this conversation active amongst the youth? Because the thing that you're saying here today is very powerful, and most of the time we, the younger generation, we don't talk about these things amongst ourselves. We're always talking about if it's not politics or something out of the blue. So the conversation here that you're really touching on about sustainable development and lasting change and identifying ourselves. How can we start to engage ourselves in this conversation amongst our youth? I know we can do this every other week for some time, so people don't have the opportunity to come on Facebook and listen to these things. So what would be some stepping, for us to start this dialogue amongst our youth in the community?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Queen. That's an important question. Let me say for the youth, because most of our parents have abandoned their responsibilities and duties to their children. So let me go down to young people. For young people, let me ask you. I left Liberia when I was 15 years old, a young boy, ended up in Cote d'Ivoire, completed my high school in a refugee camp in Cote d'Ivoire, left Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana. Ghana eventually came to Canada. It is on you as a young person to figure out who you are. And if you realize that your parents or your family have failed doing their responsibility in helping you get to that point, I urge you, the first thing you want to do, make going back to Liberia a priority. And don't go there to look for the bad things to condemn, right? So if you can't go back, because some of you will not be able to travel there on your own, whatever, engage in the Liberian community. Look, let me tell you today, people like to say the whole community bad. No, majority of our community are lying in rooms. I agree. But there are pockets of people in our community who are doing a great job. Let's focus on Liberia. Engage in our community. You identify who should be your role models. You identify who you should admire. Our old man right here in the diaspora who can speak our dialects and stuff. What do? We ostracize them. When we go to events, we put the old man again speaking like way in the back. Like they're not supposed to be part of the program. Right? So I urge you young people to start to find role models. Start to ask yourself critically, if I can't go to Liberia now, if I don't know much about Liberia, I want to raise this conversation. Who can I engage to ask them as an entrepreneur, as a young person, how do I get involved in this dialogue? And remember my key code I always use, seek to understand. The same way when you decide to go do your business degree as a young person, you can start it till you pass. Or when you're studying for the LSAT to go to law school, or when you're studying for the GMAT, the same way you can go find all the knowledge, apply it to yourself the same way, give yourself that same type of quality of work. We can research when we want to find something. So it behooves you as a young person to seek opportunities, to seek role models, to seek mentors who can help you get to that point. And if you're not finding it, you will be shocked what Google can do for you. How much I've learned about Liberia, even more than many of the adults that can talk. I can tell you things about Liberia before 1847. Through what? Just through research, because it's important to me. I can't neglect who I am. I cannot. So, Queenie, I will say to you, do it within your means, because not all young people have the ability to call for meetings and to bring people together. So ask your own self. If you live your late sphere of influence, your few friends that you know, and encourage the conversation among them. Let it be a conversation of trying to understand. Let it not be to condemn or to say, wow, the Liberian people there. And that we can always say, oh, the Liberian people, trust me, I don't bother with a demo. Liberian people there, that wahala me and I. Then why you stay here? You choose. If you're Liberian now, if we got wahala, you are one of the people you need to help us fix the wahala. That's why some of us will not leave the Liberian community. We'll call it out, but we will propose solutions. We will work. You who can open your mouth to criticize should be the one to be ready to work. And yes, the commitment you need to make. You need to outwork, outthink, outtalk, outsmart everybody else. If you want to lead, if you want to that's why I'm sitting here on a Sunday afternoon. I'm supposed to be somewhere chilling. But I'm sitting here today, we'll focus on Liberia on a Sunday afternoon, right? Why? Because I have an agenda. And my agenda is that Liberia becomes all of us political party. And my agenda is that we build the Liberian dream, that even the little child all the way in Bokesa, the little child all the way in Zogowi, the little child in Joploken, in Kawaken, the little child in Greenville, Sano, that will never get a chance to come to Liberia or go to America or anywhere, can still believe that they are a valuable asset to the Republic of Liberia. That, my friends, is the Liberian dream. It doesn't matter whether you travel. It doesn't matter whether you go to school. It doesn't matter whether you don't go to school. Wherever life lends you, I want you to walk and feel proud of what you do. That whoever you are a valuable asset to the Republic of Liberia. And whatever you left, wherever life ended you up, if life ended you up where you became a farmer, do not dwell on your catastrophes. Do not dwell on your failures. The Liberian dream should keep you focused that thank God you are still alive and you know how to make farm. The Liberian dream should keep you aspiring that thank God you are still alive and God gave you the ability to sell kerosene. The Liberian dream should keep you aspiring that thank God you have a canoe that you can go on a river and fishing and come and sell to the market and feed us. Wherever life lends you, the Liberian dream should not be about focusing on all the things that divide us. It should not be about focusing on all of the things that we failed at. It should be about focusing on the things that have made us to be where we are and we are still alive. It should be about the fact that we are still alive in spite of it all. We should be focusing on the things that made us. We are still alive in spite of the corruption, in spite of the rape, in spite of the murders, in spite of the armed robbery, in spite of the killings, in spite of the domestic violence, in spite of the abuse against women. We are still standing. Our young girls are still finding a way to make it somehow. They are still rising to the top, despite all of what have been thrown at them. My friends, if we can tap into that and promote it, then what? We want to talk about the conversation around rape, and we want to come here and photocopy all the people project proposals around how to do rape here. It will not work. We need a deeper conversation about rape. About how long before the war, our uncle and auntie were already sleeping with nieces and impregnating them. We need to talk about a serious conversation about how in some family today, nobody can tell their child who their real pa is. It's a top secret, or their real ma is. It's a top secret. We need to talk about how during the war, we drug our own children, turn them into killing machines. And when the war ended, what did we do? We went to Accra and other places to find solutions to rehabilitate our kids, and it fell flat because we were so corrupt that we could not sit down as a country, as a society, and bring up some of our traditional, practical ways that we can rehabilitate ourselves, even if we don't get a dime from the international community. There is nothing wrong with that. Whoever, wherever life, some of us may have been fortunate to travel and get opportunities that other people may not have access to. Some of us in Liberia will never get a chance to travel, and the best that God could give us, or the best that we were able to get, is to be able to be a fisherman, or is to be able to sell grains. Whatever you do not take it for granted, because there is a reason that God entered you where you are. As bad as it may look, it may just be, you know what I often say to many people? The greatest tragedies always bring about the greatest innovations. All of the people that we hail today are the people who found themselves in some of the most nastiest situations you can ever think about. Name them. Nelson Mandela, 27 years in jail. Dr. Martin Luther King lived his entire life as a savage until he was executed, before people realized what he was doing. Malcolm X, continue calling their names. You know all of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are some other things we want to let you know about, but thank you for having me. And I'm going to close by reminding you, right? I will summarize it after we make the advertisement. We'll have some announcements to do. One of the announcements here is on Friday, February 19th, there'll be a virtual fundraiser here for the Mammy Maternal Health Initiative project in Liberia, founded by Yassa Lavela. And then your keynote speaker, one of your key speakers will be Jasso Sigbe as well. They will be raising $8,000. I said they will be raising because myself will be here, and we will make it happen. We'll raise $8,000. I'm not going to tell you the details. If you want to know the excellent work they're doing using community-driven solutions in Liberia, join us on February 2021 for this great fundraiser that will be hosted nowhere else at 4 p.m. right here on Focus on Liberia. And then also coming up shortly at 6 p.m., Josiah Joker, somebody that I know very well, we live in the same community for a long time, will be on here as well, talking about the history of elections in Liberia from 1847 to 2020. Don't miss it. It's coming up shortly at 6 p.m. But ladies and gentlemen, let me wrap up. Let me wrap up here today and let you go. I want to tell you one thing. Let's stop the deceit. Let's stop the hypocrisy. We need to stop running away from ourselves. This is the time to embrace the Liberian story. And the Liberian story is a checkered one. The The Liberian story is the one that was before 1847. The Liberian story is what happened in 1847. The Liberian story is what happened over 100 years of True Win Party lead. The Liberian story is what happened in 1980. The Liberian story is what happened in 1989. The Liberian story is what happened in 2020. We need to take all of it. Let's cry over the portions of it that we need to cry over, like the 1980 execution, like the 1989 war. Those areas that we don't want to remember, let's cry over it. Let's grieve over it because it's bad. But let's celebrate the portions that we are supposed to celebrate as well. And what are the portions? That in spite of it all, you go to Liberia, we are still thriving, we are still fighting and striving to compete. Let's celebrate that. That too is the Liberian story. Let's celebrate the Liberian story, that as crazy as we are, we still find a way to make it in any society where we go. The resilience that we've built, let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate the Liberian story that even in some cases when nurses cannot take pay, they still wake up every day and go to work to the various clinics in the villages. Let's celebrate that midwives are still in villages giving safe delivery to baby in dangerous situations where sometimes it's dangerous for them to even do, but they can't give it up because they do not have a choice. Let's celebrate that our people are still using what they've got outside of Monrovia in the villages. They are still living in their huts. They are still keeping their villages clean. That too, my friends, is part of the Liberian story. Let's celebrate that we went to Guinea on the refugee camps there and we turned it into places that even Guineans were wild. That too is part of the story. Let's celebrate that in Ghana, Buduburam, we turned Buduburam into a city, both for good and bad, whichever way you go. But you cannot take away the ingenuity and the entrepreneurship of Liberians, even if it is a few. Let's celebrate that too, because that too is, we can only celebrate the corruption. We can only celebrate all the bad things. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the Liberian dream. The dream where regardless of where life has placed you, that you still know that you got something to give to Liberia as your responsibility, regardless of how small within your means. That you understand that as a citizen, it is not just rights that you have. You also have responsibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leo Nupolu Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us. We have close to 100 of you that join us today from everywhere. Thank you. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful. And my idea here is not to tell you you are wrong and I'm right. It's to provoke your thinking. That we need to start thinking differently. We need to stop thinking about the next government and start thinking about Liberia, because Liberia will outlast everybody. Thank you so much. I want to thank our producers here at Focus on Liberia, Mr. Dennis Ja, Mr. Anthony Sie. In my opinion, this is the best platform. And this show, The Liberian Dream, is the only show you can bring your little children to come and listen, and don't be afraid that they might hear something inappropriate. No, bring your children every other Sunday when we are here, because we will break it down to the level that even themselves will be provoked to start thinking about things. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.